Y'all ready for this? Because it's gonna get hairy. It's your host, piece of lint on top of a cashew, to bring you a giant episode of Done Better, the movie review show where we explore story adjustments on a movie we almost liked. And today we've got a ape episode for you. I'm sorry, 1 second. No more puns! Kong Skull Island, Done Better. Let's go. I think I hated this movie. I don't know if I'm just getting too old or I've seen too many other crappy movies recently, but I really feel like I gotta tee off on this one here, guys. And I feel bad about it because I do love giant animal movies, especially ones on nightmare islands. Dead reefs, extinct rhinos, climate change. The real world is sort of getting its teeth kicked in. So escaping to a world where Mother Earth puts mankind in his place is great, especially when that place is evenly divided between two sets of razor-sharp monster teeth. But unfortunately, this movie rubbed me all kinds of wrong in the process. So let's see what we could change to make it better.
Ah! Whoa! Whoa! Get down! What the hell, man?
Let's go. Everybody grab your gear. We have to keep moving. We'll go ashore and meet up.
Oh, wait a minute. Is nobody gonna say anything about the... He's gone. He ain't coming back.
Number 1, Soldiers of Misfortune. While I'm not certain using the Vietnam War as a sandbox to set your Kong movie in is a bad idea, using countless American soldiers who just survived one of the most horrifying conflicts in our history as giant lizard fodder just felt cruel. This movie seemed to be of two minds the entire time. It wanted the violent spectacle of lost world creatures, but also wanted the allegorical weight of its time frame. It's a difficult balance to maintain, but this script does itself no favors. Number 2, non-Hiddleston. A handful of soldiers being devoured on a monster island with giant muskoxes and squids, led by a suicidal general with a death wish? Why is Tom Hiddleston's tropey character even here? Number 3, Theme Me. Addressing the first 2 points will help get you here, but I still gotta reinforce how abjectly lost I was when trying to decipher what this movie had to say. Besides, hey look, there's gonna be more of these movies later.
There's more out there.
What do you mean, more?
This world never belonged to us. It belonged to them. The question is how long before they take it back. Kong is not the only king.
Soldiers of Misfortune. I didn't really understand the thematic connection between the Vietnam War and the story of a big ape that likes blondes, but I can't deny that the trailers looked pretty damn good. Imagining a King Kong flavored platoon with Fortunate Son blaring, it was certainly a fresh new direction. Unfortunately, everybody knows the Skull Island legend. Y'all gonna die. Led to the island by an unscrupulous fat man, the poor souls are lambs to the slaughter unknowingly. Here's where the movie lost me. Listen, any monster movie worth its salt needs a body count, obviously. But that's why shady pirates, evil mercenaries, and private armies exist. You gotta be more careful when you're using soldiers, especially ones who were presumably on their way home from active duty. Yeah. Seeing modern day soldiers get destroyed in contemporary movies seems to be less bothersome to everyone. I don't know why. They throw a dude at a copter. Are we supposed to be excited, scared, sad, amazed? Loki walks away from it, so I guess the rest were acceptable losses? You're aware that there's still Vietnam veterans around, right? Granted, they aren't watching these new movies, they're too busy undercutting their own healthcare. Alienate half of audience, check. So I'm gonna take a second and do a bit about Frankenstein's Army for comparison to show I ain't just grandstanding. Frankenstein's Army is a quaint little gore fest presented in the vein of a World War II found footage documentary. It follows American soldiers as they discover a hidden laboratory in which a madman commits unspeakable atrocities upon anyone he deems inferior. It's campy and amazing, and everyone should watch it at least once, if only to see the big crazy puppet monsters. That being said, this movie does the one thing you need in this sort of scenario really well. Context. You see, this quaint little gore fest does the intelligent move by drawing a line between the soldiers' experience in the evil castle with the world's experience with World War II. Discovering unspeakable inhumanity and cruelty, our soldiers incur heavy costs to attempt to end an evil agenda with a seemingly endless supply of nightmares to inflict. That sounds like this Kong movie, but it's not. There's no connective tissue between their island adventures and the Vietnam War.
Oh no, she can't love you. She can't love you like I do.
Babe, I mean, I think Mr. Conrad should be fairly compensated.
You have any questions?
Here's to profit during peacetime.
Non-Hiddleston. No offense to the man, but he's the least interesting thing about this movie. I sincerely think that if he cut his character out and gave protagonist duty to nearly anyone else, he'd have a much more compelling story to tell. For example, this man is a marooned World War II pilot who has been surviving on this island with the help of the local population. He runs across a band of overwhelmed Vietnam troops on a murder island he is now quite accustomed to. This could be a story of a man at a time, confronting the reality that war is unending and the battle for survival perhaps doesn't end after getting off the island. He also has a family to go back home to, and this could provide a chilling omen for Toby McCables. Toby McCables. I don't even remember his name in the movie, and finding his skull was a major plot point for a third of it. He was about to return from the theater of combat to see his wife and newborn son, so he's about as prime for the limelight as a character can be. Cheated of his chance to go home, he's instead trapped in a second war, this time against monsters. And oh hey, bonus points if you can keep the love story with the war photographer. The conflicted feelings of staying true to his family at home, while developing a deep connection that could only develop when running from bipedal Charizards, could make for some good drama. Also, he starts the movie idolizing Sam Jack, this duty-bound, honorable, unsung hero of a war neither of them feel good about. Their ensuing conflict as he turns into a murderous revenge motherfucker is a good arc to run. Or shit, you almost need Sam Jack to be the main character just so you can walk us step by step the thought process that led to him becoming the Kong-obsessed antagonist he becomes later in the movie. Picture this, I'm a bag of dicks, put me to your list. Just kidding. Picture this, a man God damn it. Picture this, a man losing his grip as he traverses the jungle in search of dangerous creatures, attempting to make sense of all the violence he's endured in a war that stopped making sense. Where have I heard that before? Frustrated at the outcome of the war and the sacrifices it costs, this respected leader dutifully signs his company up for one last run, a cakewalk scientific expedition that ends up with most of his company dead in the end. Him vowing to risk the remaining men to win this war requires a lot of development and rationalization, but it sounds immediately more interesting than this.
We're just scholars and scientists. We need someone with experience.
I think I might just be being mean here. I've made my point. Throwing in some super former MI6 super tracker man, animal expert, marksman, sniper, demolitions expert, martial arts champion, badass man is, well, it's just super boring and bland and uncompelling when surrounded by other characters who could speak to your themes. Speaking of themes...
Your lies got my men killed.
And you're gonna get us all killed.
Not our fight.
Whose side are you on, Captain?
Okay, Colonel. You'll find your sea stallion 3 clicks up that ridge. Now I'm gonna take these civilians back to the boat, and we'll wait for you there. All right?
What in the hell is this movie about? The perpetuity of conflict, man's need for dominion over nature, war being the civilized expression of our own animalistic natures? I don't know. I made all those up. I'm picking them out of a fart huffing hat because I have no idea what to make of this movie. The Vietnam War means a lot of things to a lot of people. It has inspired some of the most significant art and music in American history. Not to mention all the other Vietnam movies this one is aping. Stop! Stop! It was a tumultuous time in our country and abroad, so if you're gonna use the music from the era, or the imagery, or the textures, or the people, what's your message to go along with that? Oh, that we should get excited about the Mothra movie you got in the works? Well, f me, I guess. Without a discernible theme I can easily see, the use of the era becomes nothing more than set dressing, which comes across as exploitative. So how about this instead? The humans on the island are beset by a dangerous environment and an enduring civil war between the two dominant species around them, the raptor things and Kong. Caught in the crossfire, the lines between this conflict and the last begin to blur for the men. They struggle to find the meaning for their losses on this island they were brought to by untrustworthy actors. And it is only by running across a hero of the greatest generation and his true blue can-do American spirit that they remember the grand tradition of service they uphold and the will to continue to persevere for what's important. Or literally anything besides the Kong movie but in the 60s. Because that's how it played to me. It seemed like a bunch of suits just needed a Kong movie to go with their Godzilla movie, but didn't want to do the classic story exactly, so they picked an era that was convenient for their cinematic universe and spent zero time developing it beyond which songs to buy the royalties for.
Here's the story about a little guy that lives in a blue world, and all day and all night, and everything he sees is just blue, like him inside and outside. Blue his house with a blue little window and a blue Corvette, and everything is blue for him and himself and everybody around, 'cause he ain't got nobody to listen.
Well, there you go. I didn't really like that movie that much, which you can probably tell. I actually think I'm gonna go watch The Relic. You guys seen The Relic? It's got Linda Hunt and Tom Sizemore in it. It's actually pretty great. You should check it out. Unloving son of a bitch. You're such a fucking waste of my time, even in death.